What is going on, everyone? It is James, aka the Comic Raider, back with another late night. Let me move my mic a little closer, so I need to whisper. Back with another late night movie review. Just got back from seeing The Black Phone for the second time for me. Took my pops to go watch it, and I was like, I have to do a video on this movie because second time, I still love it, and I do want everyone to go watch it. So Ethan Hawke teaming up with Dickerson, I forgot, I think it's Scott Dickerson, could be wrong on that, but together they went and did Sinister, which is one of my probably top 10 horror movies of all time, and one that I highly recommend people check out. So I was very excited going into this movie to have that pairing back together, and they did not disappoint. Then with Blumhouse, you already know it's going to be a home run. So non-spoiler review is go see The Black Phone. It is horror, thriller, suspense that these guys perfectly nail, and you have Ethan Hawke playing the grabber, and the story about him kidnapping some children back in, I think it's the late 70s is when it takes place, like 78, and a kid trying to escape from him, basically. And there's some horror suspense involved as far as past kids that have been abducted and that kind of stuff. So, but honestly, the pacing, the characters, the acting, the character development, everything. They nail everything. So, if you're into this kind of stuff, you have to go see this movie. That's the non-spoiler review. So, spoiler review is pretty much just going to be me talking about everything I loved, breaking it down piece by piece. Trying to keep this within 20 minutes so my shit doesn't die on me like it did last video. But, so, I mean, story-wise, Ethan Hawke, the grabber, been terrorizing this town, kidnapping kids in the area, and they do a great job in the beginning of explaining a couple of characters that get kidnapped, which then lead into him kidnapping the main kid in the movie, Finney, and that was done so well because it really gave you... So, one of the things I loved about the movie is it very quickly, briefly, yet perfectly gave you background in one of the coolest, quickest ways I've ever seen. I mean, they introduced two kids right in the beginning. Very quick scenes give you everything you need to know about these kids before they get abducted. One's a little bit longer, but he's in a couple scenes. But they give you everything you need about these kids before they get abducted so that you understand them. Then you have the way that they did with the previous kids that got kidnapped and how they tied that into the sister's dreams, basically killing two birds with one stone, giving you background on a character while also further progressing the story by the sister having the dreams and helping her eventually find where Finney's located at. Dude, I mean, just that mindset alone when making it, I loved it. So then you get Finney gets kidnapped, and now it's basically him and Ethan Hawke, and then you have the phone, the black phone, ringing, and it's him talking to past kids that have been kidnapped and them giving him their advice on what he needs to do. And the way they did that was awesome. There's a couple of little scares. That's the other thing. The movie didn't rely on jump scares. There's like 3 throughout the whole movie. And it's funny because I remember 2 of them that occurred inside the house, and then I forgot the main one, which is later at the end with the sister, and it scared the shit out of me again the second time, and I was like, I loved it. But so it doesn't rely on jump scares, but you talk to these kids, and that's when you do get the tense moments of him listening to them, talking to them, and then the way that he's able to utilize all of their tips and tricks at the final end scene, or end battle, let's say, that was also awesome. That tied in everything together. He was able to use all of their pieces, all of their help. Um, I thought that Finney, and so anyway, so yeah, so to finish off the story and the plot, basically, yeah, I mean, it's so he's being kidnapped and it's him dealing with Ethan Hawke, while at the same time you have his sister, who, in all honesty, from the trailers I saw, you didn't even know was in the movie, and then ends up playing a huge major role, and is probably one of the best characters, if not the best character in the movie. I mean, hard to say. They all did such a great job, but the sister's phenomenal, and I'll get into that later. But um, so yeah, and then eventually ends up leading to the final build-up, which is the final battle between him and Ethan Hawke, and Finney trying to escape and eventually escaping, and the conclusion of the movie. So it's very simple when broken down like that, but the way that they execute it and keep building and building the suspense and how tense it becomes and all that kind of stuff, I thought was just done so well. Now, for the characters, everyone did an amazing job. Finney plays a great, scared, angry, but like always holding back kind of kid. And eventually he has to learn to stand up for himself and eventually has to fight back. And all that build up kind of comes together in the final scene with him and Ethan Hawke. And that is just such a great character development for me. The sister, her fucking language, excuse my language, but her language in this movie is hilarious. The way she cusses, the words she uses, you're just like, whoa, what in the... I mean, the scene where she's praying and she actually ends up getting mad at Jesus, and she's just like, what the F, Jesus? I mean, you're just like, what? But their relationship is freaking great. That brother-sister relationship is amazing. Almost makes you tear up a little bit. How they are really just brothers keeper and sisters keeper type deal, you know? And she's a badass too. The way that she comes in the scene when the bullies are beating up Finney, the way she comes in, first with the language, well, first running to her brother's aid, then with the language, pushing the boys off, grabbing a rock, and completely cracking one over the head. I thought he died. Like, no joke. I thought he died when he was leaking that bad. Cracks him. Just this badass moment. And then the bullies take over and they beat her up too. But it was just such a great... She was such a great character. And then, of course, the dreams and all that kind of stuff. And her being... You know, her having a role throughout this whole entire movie, too, of helping the cops try and find where her brother's at through these dreams. And I thought that the dad, you know, the way that they portrayed the dad was such a great job, too, because at first you just think he's just this abusive, alcoholic piece of shit. And not to say that what he did is okay, that's not what I'm getting at, but once he gives you the background of he's an alcoholic and he's angry and all that kind of stuff in dealing with the trauma of losing his wife, and he's got this PTSD and this hatred for the daughter's gift because it's the same gift that the wife had, which eventually ultimately led to her killing herself. So you get, again, a very quick understanding of why the father is the way in which he is. Again, I'm not saying that what he's doing is okay. I'm just saying they're able to explain why he's doing it. And you kind of go, okay, like, damn, you're still a shit father because you shouldn't be acting like that. But then by the end of the movie, you know, there's a reason why he hugs them and then he tells them, I'm sorry, forgive me. Like, you know, you imagine that moving forward, this family dynamic is much different. And so he's a great job. Then you have Ethan Hawke, who this new, like, second arc of his career, to me, where he's doing these horror movies, I want to see more and more and more. Because he is such a great actor. In Sinister, which I brought up before, please go watch that. If you haven't, he is a protagonist, and in this one he plays the antagonist. So you get a good guy, and then well, he's not. He's kind of he's a protagonist, okay, in Sinister. And then in this one, he's the bad guy. He's the freaking grabber, And he does such a great job at it, and he's creepy, demeaning, but very also like he's definitely my dad was like, yeah, he's definitely got like, you know, these bipolar issues. And you know, it ties in with The Mask, which The Mask, done by the legend Tom Savini, is great because it's this devil mask, but it has pieces, and the pieces can come off, and he can only wear the mask on the top part of his face. And then in other scenes, he's got the full-on mask. And I do think that there's something to this mask. You know, after watching it the second time, and then my dad bringing up, you know, the mask and how it kind of coincided with his multiple personalities, it felt like, I thought, yeah, I mean, that was done intentionally. Because when you think about it, I could be wrong, but I think in all scenes where he's basically playing, where he's in his full-on pissed off, angry, I'm gonna kill this kid or beat this kid mode, he has the part of the mask with the devil horns, you know, or with the horns on the head. And then in a different scene, he has it just over his mouth in the scene where he's watching Finn. And Finn's like, you know, what were you doing down here? I think he said, I'm hungry, and he's like, oh, I didn't come down here to feed you or some shit. And he's like, well, then what did you come down here for? And he's like, I just wanted to watch you. And he's got tears in his eyes. And I think that's done intentionally to show you that, yeah, like with that different weird personality, he's got this soft side, almost like he knows what he's doing is wrong, or it's really, you know, complicated in that sense. And I think that's why he was wearing just that bottom portion, because he didn't want, you know, he wasn't portraying the devil part of him. And then in like the very next scene, you know, boom, he's got the devil mask on and he's ready to, you know, handle business. So I thought that's great. And then at the end, you know, Finney even knocks the mask off and he freaks the hell out. Like he needs this mask to move on. And I think that's also why, you know, when he's the grabber, not just from the sense of obviously not wanting to get caught, but, you know, he's got the face paint, the top hat, the glasses, the balloons kind of covering him. He's very, you know, just like, he's covered, you know, and I think there's more to it than just, well, yeah, he's not trying to get seen or caught. I think it's like, that's the whole act, is he does not want you to see his face or know his face or anything like that. And so, yeah, I think there's definitely something to that mask, and it was great. And then this, the final build-up. So you got the build-up throughout the movie of Finn trying these different things to escape, to ultimately escape this basement that he's trapped in. And he's getting the phone calls from the other kids, and they're giving him advice on, well, this is how I tried to get out, or this is how I tried to get out. And it ultimately ends up leading to him utilizing all of these different things. The first kid told him about building a hole and maybe you can dig under and get out. He uses that hole later on to trap Ethan Hawke, the grabber, down into the hole. The second kid told him about a rope and trying to use that rope to yank off the bars off of, or to open the window. He uses the rope to trip him in the hallway, and then he uses the bar that fell off the window at the bottom, which ends up breaking the ankle of the grabber when he falls down in that hole, which had the grate kind of slanted inside of it. And then he uses, the one kid gave him the pick lock, or the combination to the lock. That's how he gets out ultimately. And then the other kid, Robin, taught him about packing the phone and using the phone to beat him, and the whole step back because he's going to swing at you, and then you swing. And then, what was the other one? The cord. Well, the cord is what he used to strangle him. And then the other kid taught him about breaking into the freezer room, which ultimately led him to getting the stakes. And he uses the stake to distract the dog, and that's what allows him to enter up the stairs and leave. Now, that dog, my pop said it's a Mastiff, so, and we were looking it up. Definitely looks like a Cane Corso or type of Mastiff like that. That dog is an effing beast. Now, earlier in the movie, you hear the dog. On 2 different occasions, you hear the dog, but you never see it until he's like, Samson, and then Samson comes down the stairs, and you're like, first of all, perfect name for this dog. And then you look at this dog, and you're like, oh, hell no. I'm a grown-ass man, and that dog scared the shit out of me. This kid ain't getting past this dog. Like, that dog is a freaking beast, and I love it. Just the look, the presence, because the dog doesn't do shit. It just stands there. That's all you needed. But yeah, so the dog was awesome. But anyway, so then you get the ultimate fight. You know, him with the axe. An axe is always the scariest shit to me. Like a knife, you know. A knife is one thing. Obviously, getting stabbed and cut and all that kind of stuff, that would suck too. But for me, an axe, the brutality, the heaviness to it, with the sharp blade and the brutality of an axe has always just scared me. Like, an axe is terrifying for me, for sure. So he's got the axe, takes a swing, he dodges them, runs away, trips him, he falls, he breaks the ankle, and then he basically uses the 1-2 step to beat the shit out of him with the phone, jumps on him, goes to strangle him. Great move. And then the moment of him strangling him, phone rings, he puts the phone on, it's for you. And then all the kids talking, and eventually leading with Finney's arm is mint. What's the line? Finney's arm is mint. And then snap, because he's got him backwards like this, and then snap. First of all, just the it's for you, badass. And then the snap, one of the most satisfying moments ever in a movie. And such a satisfying end to a horror movie, because a lot of times horror movies end and they just kind of end. There isn't like this hell yeah, like hell yeah. A lot of horror movies, the villain ends up winning, or the villain comes back, or they kill the villain and you're just kind of like, alright, they killed him. This one was brutal. So, neck snap, and the way they do it, and just, that part, again, top notch. Filming, directing, coming up with it, the way they do it. I can't speak highly enough about this movie. This will be a must own, a must watch. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Everything is done well. Everything. I have no issues with this movie. I have no gripes. I've heard some reviews, people are like, it's a little slow build up, Okay, I get it, but for me, I didn't care because I was into the characters. The characters were done so well that even if it is a slower build up and it's not tense yet, it's not, that's the thing, the suspense and the tense does not come until later in the movie. That part I get. So you could classify the beginning as slow, but for me, that was character development, and it was done in a way that was very entertaining, so I'm not bored watching this movie. I loved it beginning to end. The music, the tone, just everything, man. Everything. Excellent movie. Please go watch The Black Phone if you haven't already. Go watch it in theater so you get not only the big screen experience, but you get the sound. Scary movies are always, most movies are better in theaters, but with scary movies, the feeling, how loud it gets, you can't help but jump. When it gets scared, intense moments. And it just, yeah, awesome movie. Go see The Black Phone. I'm going to be uploading this tonight, so you will see this for Movie Monday, which will be perfect. Rumors are that the Halloween trailer is going to drop tomorrow as well. So if it does, I do believe you can catch me on the Low Grades YouTube channel, where J2 and I will most likely discuss it. If not, then you can catch us on Friday, where we will definitely discuss it on Friday's show. But we might just do our own little video prior. But I'm very excited for that too. I'm hoping that they kind of rebound from the second one, because the first one was great. Second one definitely had some lulls in it and some boring parts. Hopefully they rebound and make this one a hell of a lot better and end this trilogy off the right way. But anyways, we're not here to talk about Halloween. We were here for The Black Phone. Great movie. Go watch it. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for tuning in. Likes, comments, subscribes, all that YouTube stuff. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And I will be dropping hopefully some more content here soon. I don't know what. I'll have to mix it up so it's not all movie. But anyways, you guys have a good one. Stay safe. I appreciate you all. I'm out. Deuces.